All right, everybody, we are back again. What's happening, Paddy?
Has he lost his mind?
Paddy and The Yank podcast coming to you.
Yes, he has lost his mind.
All right. Nothing I didn't already know. How you doing, sir?
Not doing too bad at all, Yank. It's damn hot outside today. I think the weather lately's been up in the high 30s, 37 degrees. That's Celsius. I don't know what the fuck that is in Fahrenheit for you American listeners.
Fahrenheit.
And I ain't going to check it up
far
either.
out.
Yesterday with the humidity, it was 44 degrees. 44 degrees Celsius. Think about that. A hot summer in Ireland would be 20 degrees. Everyone would be like, fuck, it's 20 degrees. It was 44 here yesterday. So that's why today I'm sitting down here and I'm sipping on some tequila, a little bit of lemon, some ice, sprinkle of salt, and some soda water.
Sing the gospel.
Let me hear you say it again.
Sing the gospel.
I got me some tequila. I got me some water, sparkling tap like, you know.
Halakila.
Got me some lemon,
Halakila.
squeezed, fresh by the hand.
All right. I got a nursery rhyme.
Go.
Yeah, baby. I don't know if it's a not so or just a nursery rhyme, but I'm jumping right in. It is called Ladybird, Ladybird, Fly Away Home. All right,
Hit me with it.
You got it, baby. Ladybird, Ladybird, fly away home. Your home is on fire, and your children will burn. Fly away, Ladybird. Fly away home. Your house is on fire, and your children are gone. Now, funny part about this was in my book for work.
What?
That we were supposed to teach this.
Are you kidding me?
Not
I
at
thought
all.
you got that off some kind of like
got
fucking
this out of
jokey website or
This is
some
my
funny
lesson
website.
plan book for work.
Tell me you read it to the kids like that.
It turns out this year they changed it and replaced it, but my book was an old book, so it still had this. But this year they just changed it to a different poem. That was
The way you built the intensity that there just got me so good. The way that was just brilliant. That was awesome. That was fucking brilliant.
Isn't that a gem? Oh my god! And where I found it just blew my fucking mind.
What are they teaching the kids here?
Jesus, you know, like I thought I was
Jesus,
trying to.
they're teaching the kids.
If
Jesus,
this is the kind of shit I'm teaching, then maybe we are an invasive species.
fuck, man.
It's pretty funny though, right? It's pretty rad.
Hilarious.
All right. On this blessed Saturday morning, it has been superimposed upon myself to share this information with you, Paddy.
Go on. What do you got? for me?
Paddy Winkle Van Sant.
Let's get it.
All right. Well, basically, we're talking about the future. And we're talking about the future today with two subtopics of the future. The first might be timeline/philosophy, and the second would be physics and physicists' predictions about the future.
I'm already confused.
Awesome.
The word physics confuses me without even having to fucking...
I've been
Try to think
confused for
about
the
it.
past 6 days, Paddy. I know how you feel.
The boy's confused. He doesn't know what he's thinking.
For sure. Yeah, and right away I'm giving a shout out to John, because this podcast, it's a result of him. Basically, I watched a video at a buddy's house, and this video showed the Earth and how the Earth was going to change over the next hundreds and thousands of fucking years. And when we think about the future, like in that video that we watched, it was only showing the Earth and how the Earth would age and erode and break down and develop. And we're talking over like millions, hundreds of thousands, millions of years. What the video didn't show was like humanity, right? But then I was also asking myself, like, how would humans change over that amount of time? And would we even exist? And how much time has already existed before the existence of humans? And how long have I existed only in the existence of humans, or in the existence of all time, or in the existence of all time that will ever be before the end of time? But we can't really measure the end of time if no one's there to measure it. Does it even happen? I have a small point that kind of comes out of this, which is if you do the math, right? And like, so I will, in the big picture of things, I will only have been alive for 0.002% of time.
Blink of an eye.
For example, right? I was kind of trying to think like what beneficial way we could get out of that. But that's how I'm kind of introducing it like that. But do you have any like so I've dove into the potential future of humans, and I've also dove into the potential future of the Earth. Both very fascinating. We're going to get into both of those things. But before we do you have any sort of predictions, things you've come across, things you've read, things you think, anything like that at all?
About what?
Like where humans are headed.
To fucking oblivion.
It's a very likely possibility.
On a one-way train. I don't know. If I was to really give any thought to that, of the future of humans, there's a big possibility that we could be run by AI. We could become...
Like Terminator status?
Sort of like
the
that.
AI becomes so intelligent it takes over.
It takes over. I mean, I don't know what reason it would have for taking over. But again, like, I think we do a lot of stuff based on emotion and stuff like that, right? If somebody fucking starts a war, sometimes it's out of aggression or out of revenge or whatever the fuck it is, or in America's case, out of gold and oil. But we won't talk about that. So what would an AI's reason have for wanting to take over humanity and control us if it didn't work off emotion or it didn't run off emotion? So with the thought of that, I really don't know where I see humans in the future. I mean, not fucking existing if we fucking keep going the way we're going with the planet. You know what I mean? The planet might go before us and it might take us out. Who knows? I don't know. But you know what? I want to be around to fucking see it.
I've always hated questions like this because it might have been because of Buddhism's effect on me. But I always thought, fuck the past and fuck the future. Like, I don't want to fear the future. I don't want to postulate about what the future could potentially be because it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me, so it doesn't matter. It's not important. The only thing that is important to me is that which affects me and that which I can control, right? And that's what I think of as important traditionally as myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I try not to put focus on the past or the future because I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter. It's not going to affect me.
I mean, it's a good mentality to have, but it's a difficult task to carry out.
Right. That's a big talk and a hard walk. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Very true.
For sure.
You know, but it's good to be mindful of that, and it's good to be aware of that, and it's good to know that. Whether you practice it or not, at least you're aware of it. That's the first step, I guess. Being aware of something, you know?
For sure.
Like, if you don't know you're an asshole, you can't not be an asshole. You can't change being an asshole. But if you become aware that, hey, I'm a fucking asshole, then you can take steps to not be such an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
First, you have to be aware.
So, I'm going to start by telling you physicists' prediction about the state of the Earth and how the Earth will change over the next hundreds of thousands of years.
Okay.
Which is pretty interesting. I'm not going like totally to the extent that they did.
Yeah.
But I'm going to brush around it. So right now it's 2220, right? What year is it?
Well, we'd say 2022, you big
2000.
fucking backwards yank. What did you say was 2220? What the fuck?
When I teach my kids, I teach them 2022.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So at
22.
the year 3000, the Earth magnetic fields will flip. So the North Pole and the South Pole will trade places. This is what physicists predict will happen at the year 3078 years. That's insane, right?
That's going to be a big catastrophe for the fucking planet, I'd say. You know what I mean? Basically fucking turning shit upside down.
The upside down.
Stranger Things.
I have no idea what that would consist of or how that would affect.
I imagine it wouldn't be good.
Like internal combustion. The North tries to go south and the South tries to go north, and then it's just like smash.
But you know what? I won't be here to see it
right.
To
That's kind of the mentality I was saying.
So fuck it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind hanging around for another 1,000 years and actually see it. Why not? Fuck it.
Yeah, it may be possible. Around the year 5000, there will be a drastic rise in sea level. The water will go way up, like Waterworld with what's his name?
Kevin Costner.
Classic.
It's a good movie.
Around year 7500, a 30-meter asteroid will impact the Earth.
So basically what you're telling me is the future of the planet is not looking too promising for the future thousands of generations.
Year 11,000, Antares goes supernova. So we all know what that means.
I have no idea what that means. So
right? I didn't know what that meant either.
What? the Atari fucking game system is going to be able to play Champagne Supernova by Oasis.
Basically, the whole video game system, that level of AI becomes so it can walk through an exoskeleton.
Now I know you're talking shit.
You know it, huh? You can see it. I even got a bandana on. How can you tell?
because you've caught me a few times recently on the podcast where you've told me shit and I've been like, really? Like,
it's a
yeah.
game.
And
It's a
then you're
game now.
now
It's
I
a
got
game
you.
now.
I got your number, boy.
Now figuring out how to trick you. Okay, cool. Yeah. So Antares, and I don't know if I'm saying that. Antares goes supernova. It sounds like a fun song. That's for sure. Antares is a giant red star. Low density. It's the brightest star in Scorpius. Yep. Fuck. Not super important. It's very red. Antares is a slow star that ranges in brightness. Also not super important. This is where it gets good. It's a red supergiant, a large, evolved, massive star, and one of the largest stars visible to the naked eye. We don't know how big it is, but it's between the orbits. What is this? If placed at the center of the solar system, it would reach to somewhere between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Okay, it's 12.
That sounds pretty damn big.
Yeah. Its mass.
And what's it going to do? It's going to come down here and start raping and pillaging or what?
It prefers children under the age of 12.
Or it's just going to fucking explode.
Mostly just girls.
And fucking like just decimate the planet. Or it's going to collide with the planet.
The mass is 12 times that of the sun. Yeah. It's the brightest, most massive, and most evolved stellar member of the nearest association. I read that, didn't know what it meant.
Smart.
But
people, huh?
It contains 1,000 stars with a mean age of 11 million years. So it appears as a single star, a red star, but it's actually a binary star with two smaller components, Scorpia A and Scorpia B. Okay, cool. So it's a star. You can see it with your naked eye.
Yeah.
It's red. And it goes supernova. So what does supernova mean? Supernova is when a star suddenly increases greatly in brightness because of a catastrophic explosion that ejects most of its mass.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that. It's getting bigger, 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 and then it
Basically just explodes.
shoots everything out of it. Shoots its mass out in every direction. So if we have something that's like that, like the sun, way bigger than the sun, it will sort of explode, shooting its mass in every direction.
And that mass is probably a lot of asteroids heading for this planet.
Yeah.
Again, this is 11,000 years in the future. Fuck it, I don't care. Big deal. These scientists guys are fucking spending all their time figuring this out right now. In 11,000 years' time, a giant red star is going to explode. It'll be catastrophic for this planet. It's like 11,000 years in the future. Shut the fuck up. Who cares? Move on. Give me something now. Give me a fucking cure for cancer right now. Don't mind your fucking research into 11,000 years in the future with fucking red stars.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. I had the same take on like philosophy. Like when the philosophy students at my university, they would sit in a room and discuss what the moral thing is to do. Is the moral thing to help this man, right? If the man's going to potentially commit a crime, or is it better to let him sit there and die? Or, but they discuss ethical and moral questions. And I always thought, like, fuck off. Like, stop discussing whether or not you should do it and go do something good for mankind. And I think you're sort of saying the same thing about these physicists, right?
Well, they're thinking of the future generations, aren't they? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think like that.
Yeah. They are thinking of the future generations.
I ain't having no kids or anything like that, so I don't really give a fuck. A lot of people just switched off.
Yeah, I guess if you're not going to have kids, I don't know. Would you care about the future more if you're going to have kids? I just
want to be and exist in the future. That's all I give a fuck about. I want to exist in the future and be in the future.
You will exist in the future.
Well, I know I'll exist in the future. The future is right now. What we just said there a second ago was the past.
If the future is now, what is the future?
What is the present?
You just said the future is now,
what is
right?
The present?
Seriously, if the future is now, what is the future?
I don't know. Every time you say a word, it's already the past. Every time you breathe, it's already the past.
We're
that
time
breath is
traveling.
the past. And every time you talk, you've already talked. The future has already came. I don't know. It's mind-boggling kind of stuff.
Dude, I time traveled last Saturday after the podcast. I stayed here and I stayed up all night. I'm sure that played a role in it. But I noticed that I like to stay up all night on the weekends sometimes, and I find that when the sun is starting to rise up, it's that time when everybody's asleep, and it's the time when you have the possibility to travel worlds. You have the possibility to see spirits.
Yeah, depending on what kind of substances you have ingested.
Sure, you could put it. You could bring it that way, but like, there's something special about sunrise if you've been up all night. Like, it's like a gateway between worlds. It really is. And when that happened at this house, I'd only been in this house for about a week. I basically invited all my friends that had died to come here. And it was weird. I feel like when the sun goes up and the sun goes down, those are 2 times every day where we have the possibility to travel to other worlds, be it time or be it distance. Right. I also talked to my buddy who was back home at the same time, and it just felt like I was living in between time. Like not really in the present, not really in the future, like somewhere in between. And obviously being up all night, being sleepy, being foggy, that added to it as well. But there might be something to it, man. There might be something to time travel. And the places that you can use it, that you can activate it, are the in-between times.
Okay, I've got a question for you right now.
Yeah.
If you could choose to travel back in time to any moment in history, any day in history, and spend 24 full hours in that day, and you can walk around, mingle with everybody, nothing's going to happen to you, and you can say, right, and you can choose anywhere in that day that you want to go. So you can go, right now I want to go to Egypt on this certain day. But when you've been in Egypt for a couple of hours, you're like, right, now I want to go to Rome. And you can just instantly flick it and you're back in Rome. For 24 hours, you can time travel around the world. Where would you go and what would you want to see? What time would you pick? Because you'd have to pick a certain time.
You have 24 hours to keep jumping, and you keep jumping the whole 24 hours, or you can only go to one place for the 24 hours.
You can go to one place for 24 hours. Fuck it. That makes it easier.
Well, geez, I wouldn't want to go somewhere where I would get killed.
You're not going to get killed.
How do you know that?
I don't.
What if I'm like, I want to go to Africa, and like, you know,
What's
and then I get dropped in like a elephant or a war.
Who's saying you're going to go to Africa and get killed? You could go to Ireland back in the day, the famine, and just fucking die there. When the British were there.
I don't want to die. I'd rather stay here.
All right, then where would you go? You got 24 hours to travel back in time to one day in history. Where would you go? And what
it's
day?
More about the time than the place, isn't it?
Well, like you could say I want to go back and be in fucking where was Kennedy shot? Where was Kennedy shot?
I don't remember.
What? Dallas? Was he shot in Dallas?
Yeah.
All right, so we're back to the day when Kennedy was shot, and you get to be there and walk around and see everything. Like you'd be there in the morning time, you can see exactly what happened to Kennedy, like with your own two eyes for true proof. Or the night Tupac was shot. You know what I mean? Or in the room with Kurt Cobain when he supposedly blew his head off. You can be there and watch and observe all this. You're a ghost basically. So where would you go? What would you want to see?
I would go back to the time when my great-grandma was 8 years old. My Native American great-grandma.
Okay.
When she was 8 years old.
That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
To see what kind of environment she was living in.
Yeah.
That's
and,
interesting.
Befriend her and hang out.
You're probably scarred for life because I just said you were a ghost. And if you're wearing the Yank get up, then it's like, so you go back and visit that. Where in America? Whereabouts was she from, and what tribe was she from?
I don't even know. Well, I've heard many things from many different family members, but I've heard Apache. I think is what I've heard the most.
Really, she was an Apache.
That's what I've heard the most. But I've heard Cherokee, Cherokee Apache.
Okay.
Because I think there are many different variations, right?
Oh, you got the Comanches as well.
Got the Comanches.
They were supposed to be notorious if you got captured.
Lakota, the Sioux. There are many tribes. Many tribes.
Man, scalping is a scary thought.
Yeah.
When the fucking Native Americans was
they'd also just like steal women from other tribes, right?
Yeah.
Steal this woman, take her into their tribe.
Also, torture was a big part of their, rituals, and they enjoyed doing it. Oh man, yeah. They would sometimes capture white people or whoever they would capture. They'd bring them back to their camp. They'd light a big fire. They'd get the guys out dancing and doing all this kind of stuff, and they'd scalp one or two of them, like just go over and fucking scalp them. They'd tie them to a post, scalp them, then cut them up with knives. And eventually then maybe put a tomahawk in the top of their head. And they would take great pleasure in it. It was like a sport. But hey,
Paddy,
whatever.
this episode, you really got torture on the mind. Have you been okay lately?
Really?
Anything you want to tell me? The last episode, you're talking about putting rats on people's bellies with a cage, burning metal on top.
It's just history, my man. It's just history, And history's not pretty for the most part,
True. That's why when you asked me that question, I was like, I don't know. I'm scared. Like, I'm scared to just drop myself off somewhere back in time. Because back in time, we may...
You can be invisible. You can go and just mingle and just observe. Like, the day fucking Berlin fell and fucking Hitler supposedly shot himself in the bunker with Eva Braun. Like, you could be there and you could be just observing that in the room going, fuck, this is mad. You might even get to bring some popcorn.
If I were a ghost, then maybe watching the dinosaurs would be pretty dope.
Okay, yeah.
Seeing dinosaurs.
Yeah, okay. That'd be pretty cool. And I mean, I don't know.
Because that would be a once-in-a-lifetime chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're a ghost, right? So they're not going to be... They can't eat you. Then I'd be like, yeah.
It's not necessarily you're a ghost. You can just move around. They won't know that you're there, and you can't interfere with them or anything like that. You can't interfere with the environment.
Wow. What if you could digitally What if you could really do that? What if ghosts were just digital? What if ghosts were real or aliens were real, but they're really just digital versions? And what if we could digitize ourselves and send ourselves back in time or to other places?
Do you think? I mean, I think the chances of time travel are pretty. Well, I don't fucking know. Who am I to say? But like, it's a pretty far reach. Like, but would it be more difficult to travel forward in time or travel backwards in time? I would guess travel forward in time would be easier.
Shit, I don't have the exact science on this, but somebody postulated that if you got a speed train and it traveled, like they made a movie and a TV show.
I heard this before.
But actually, it was true.
Go on.
Said if you could get that train traveling at the speed of light, I think it was, right? Then the point at which you get to the speed of light, time will start to slow down. And the Earth's diameter is just wide enough to get the train fast enough to start to slow down speed. But if you travel at the speed of light, then time ceases to affect you, right? And so the time outside of you would continue going, but you would not be aging with it. So that would be sort of like not really traveling into the future or the past, but the world itself is traveling.
And you have to stay on this fucking train.
Who knows? What if you like got on the train for like 5 years, right? And then you got off the train.
Yeah.
What if you got off the train and then like to see what had changed over the past 5 years, but you had only been on the train for 5 minutes?
Okay, yeah, that's pretty mad, yeah.
That'd be crazy, right?
Fucking right.
Oh my God.
That'd be
5
crazy.
years? I bet 5 years would be massive.
In 5 minutes.
Think about the
5
coronavirus, the Floyd, the head kicking, the police, the Black Lives Matters, the LGBT movement, all this shit. 5 years from now, I bet there will be massive changes.
Fury beating Wilder 3 times. Think about people that do a long stint in prison. Think about people that do 50
kind of like the same thing, huh?
years in prison.
Yeah.
If you got locked up, imagine you got locked up in fucking the 1960s and you got released from prison today. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine you got locked up in the 1960s.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know why.
It'd be fucking insane. Think about how much the world has changed on the outside. If you were in solitary confinement or wherever like that, think about trying to adjust to this world, trying to reintegrate yourself into society when so much has changed. We've changed as people, as a species. Not just the world around you, but us as well, how we act.
Even like right now, if I tried to go back to America, how hard would that be? I've been in Taiwan for 8 years, man. That's almost a decade. I only, like, all the shit that I just mentioned, the Black Lives Matters, LGBT movement, Floyd getting kicked, like all these huge moments, like I wasn't really connected to any of them because I'm so distant from all of them. And I do not watch the news because I notice that everybody does. Their words are like poison, man. And it's not necessarily that the movements themselves are poison, but their involvement in the event is poisonous. Like how heated their emotions and their feelings are. I'm so distant that I can literally observe as opposed to participate. And it's awesome feeling like an outside observer because I don't really want to be a part of it.
Well, stay in Taiwan.
I don't you know what I mean? I don't want to take either side. I don't want to take a side at all. Like I'm just totally out.
Well,
we're going to move this right along because there's more stuff to talk about.
Let's get it.
So there's this theoretical physicist named Michele Kaku. And I just wanted to quote him real quick because I'm going to talk about his... Well, he didn't make this scale, but there's a scale called the Kardashev scale. Have you ever heard of the Kardashev scale?
No, I have not ever heard of the Kardashev scale.
It's pretty interesting. So he's a theoretical physicist. So these are theories, and in theory, these things are all totally possible within the realms of physics. So this Kardashev scale talks about types of civilizations. And I think there are many, but I'm only going to focus on 3 today. There's a type 1, a type 2, and a type 3 civilization. So a type 1 civilization is about 100 years more advanced than we are. This kind of civilization can control the weather. For example, they could control a volcanic eruption, or they could prevent the volcanic eruption from happening, or they could control or stop an earthquake, or perhaps cause an earthquake to happen. So a type 1 civilization could control weather events. Cool?
The reptilians.
Yeah. Type 2. The type 2 civilization is a few thousand years from now, a few thousand years more advanced than us. And they would be stellar. Like they'd possess the power of a star, and they could manipulate stars, kind of like they did on Star Trek. I never watched Star Trek. Did you watch Star Trek?
I watched a bit of it when I was younger. It was hilarious.
Really? My mom watched it.
What was his name? What was the name of the fucking white dude in it?
Shatner.
William Shatner.
Oh, William Shatner.
He's hilarious, that guy. I'd love to meet him. He's fucking hilarious. William Shatner.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. And one other thing these guys could do I thought was pretty cool. I was just reading this somewhere else. They could vaporize a moon-sized meteor that was headed towards Earth. That'd be insane.
If they could do that, they could just...
so sci-fi.
If they could do that, they could wipe out all of us.
Right.
If they could vaporize a fucking
If
meteorite.
they could do that, why would they even stay here?
Yeah.
If they had that kind of power.
Yeah.
If you had that kind of power, enough power to vaporize a meteor, maybe just go build your own planet.
So this guy's saying what? What's he saying about all these 3 civilizations? What's he going?
Type 3 civilization is 100,000 years from now. It's a galactic, meaning you can roam galactic space lanes, play with black holes, sort of like the Empire in Star Wars, the bad guy. A lot of people are just, I guess there are a lot of theoretical physicists. I think even Carl Sagan does a lot of this as well. They're theorizing about how the Earth will change and how humans will change with the Earth. And a lot of the shit like playing with a black hole, powering a black hole, having the power of a black hole. Like a black hole is actually the point at which you reach something called Planck energy. Planck. Planck energy. Planck energy is a point at which time and space become unstable. And so when time and space become unstable, you start to get wormholes and pathways through the universe. And the only way to stabilize a black hole like this is with negative energy. And negative energy is something that humanity right now is trying to figure out how to make. And actually, in Switzerland, they've already made an atom smasher. Yeah.
The atom smasher. 5,000, it smashes atoms. But they don't talk like this in Sweden. So I don't know why I'm talking like this. The atom smasher, huh? What does the atom smasher do?
It smashes atoms, man.
When you talk this kind of lingo, like space,
Slow down,
astrology,
back it up,
and all that
break it
kind of
up.
stuff, it almost gives me a headache. Not because I'm not interested in it. It's just that I find it so hard to get my fucking head around a lot of this kind of stuff.
That might be why I've been so fucking tired this week. Because I've been trying to wrap my head around it every day.
The fourth dimension, people were trying to explain to me before when we used to hang out and smoke and do whatever, and one of my friends was big into that. He was big into physics, big into astrology, big into all that kind of stuff. And he was trying to explain to me the dimensions and the fourth dimension and these different things. And man,
I don't know anything about
my
that.
head, I felt like my head imploded. I
Really?
felt like my brain imploded. It was
You have to take
there.
it serious to feel that feeling.
Well, anytime someone's talking to me about something they think is serious or noteworthy, I'll sit and listen. And it's like,
I think black holes are interesting.
it's hard for me to understand it.
You don't think black holes aren't interesting? That's like a thing we've all heard about, but we don't really understand what it is. But we know like
Again, it's
crazy mysteries go down inside. That's like some like ghost god shit. Like how, you know?
What the fuck? I don't even know.
Yeah.
I know Muse have a song called Supermassive Black Hole.
You relate everything back to music, which is not a bad thing at all. It's not a bad thing at all.
Supermassive Black Hole. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about this space talk. But I do know that I just spilt a big load of that drink all over myself.
I spilled one right at the fucking top,
The
right
hell?
at the beginning.
What did she put in that food?
They're trying to, there's something else they're working on that I thought was pretty interesting. It's going to be something of the future, but it's digital immortality.
I already know about that.
Then you fucking tell me.
I seen this documentary recently, and what they were doing in this documentary was they were getting people to create an AI version of themselves, I think it was. And it was that when they would die, that the AI version of themselves would still exist, and family members could talk to them and ask them questions and all this kind of thing. And what they had to do was they had to put their information into a computer, and then the AI or the algorithms would just like take all this information. It would build basically a virtual them, really. I think that's what it was. If I remember correctly.
Yeah. Actually, I read that they did it, but they only did it for William Shatner.
What?
And he sat for like 2 days straight answering all these questions,
Yeah.
and then the computer took all of his answers and like chopped them up and put them in sequential order, and then anybody could sit there and just talk with William Shatner. And so they're saying it's a form of digital immortality, but it doesn't really sound like it, right? Because what is it that makes you alive? Your ability to answer questions? Feeling.
Yeah.
feeling.
You know? It's
your consciousness, right?
whatever that is, yeah, I guess.
I feel like consciousness means being awake. Because when you're sleeping, you're unconscious.
Yeah.
But you're still alive.
Sensation and experiencing and feeling things. Like if I pinch myself in the face, it's like, oh, I feel that. If I drink a tasty drink, oh, I get pleasure out of drinking that drink. If I feel fear, these are the things for me that I consider the traits of being alive. You know what I mean? And it's like if I can download me onto a computer in the future, it's like, am I going to be able to feel these things? Because if I'm not, then I don't really give a fuck about that. What's the point? If I'm not able to actually feel and experience, then what the hell do I care about downloading my personality onto a fucking computer for? I'm already doing that right now by talking on this podcast.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about that.
What I mean?
I was thinking about that this morning. How like, really, me and you, and obviously millions of other people.
Yeah.
This right now is a form. It's very similar to what we just talked about with William Shatner in the documentary that you watched, though.
Yeah.
The ability to answer questions, because if you were to listen to like 100 of our podcasts, eventually we might answer whatever question you wanted to ask us.
Yeah. There you go. To infinity and beyond.
So in that aspect, it's like anybody that's been recorded via film or music has a form of digital immortality.
There you go. We still listen to Tupac's music, Bob Marley's music today, Nirvana's music.
Still changing generations, man.
they're all
Bob
gone.
Marley's like a fucking guru that is still bumping, you know?
They're all gone, but they're immortalized in their music. Same as Amy Winehouse, any of these kind of people, you know what I mean? And it's like, as long as I guess we're around, as long as humans are around, I suppose for the most part, then a sense of them will be too. But I mean, is that enough for me? Fuck it. No, I want to be around. I don't give a damn about leaving anything behind. I don't care.
What if you really could be downloaded into? They theorize that could be a possibility one day.
Yep.
Would you? We would have to die and be reincarnated.
I mean,
but would you download into? I guess that's kind of what they did in Ready Player One and Avatar, right? Both of those movies did the same thing.
Ready Player One was good.
Ready Player One was pretty good. I heard it's a great book.
Really?
Yes, I've heard it's a great book.
Well, I got to learn how to read first. Can you teach me, Yank? Honest,
if you're
you will?
free every Saturday at 3:30, you got to show up with a bottle of the cheapest whiskey you can find.
Honest, you will. You teach me how to read.
I feel like I sound a little bit more like Bill Clinton. Give me a foot massage, but only the left.
We brought Bill
the left.
We brought Bill Clinton up on this podcast many times too. Fuck Bill Clinton.
I'll bring him
and
on the
Hillary as
podcast.
well.
Oh, you don't like him? Okay, don't come on the podcast, Bill.
Anybody with that much power that's got a fucking trail of fucking deceit, lies, blood, and murder behind them, nah, I don't like them. But hey, they're fucking human and they're living their best human life, so power to them. Nothing against them.
So let me finish a bit. This dude postulates whatever the fuck that eventually we can figure out, because right now they're mapping the brains of fruit flies, and they can map up to a certain number of neurons in the brain. Oh, they've sliced a fruit fly, put it brain in an MRI. They mapped 100,000 neurons, so they can actually do that with the fruit fly.
Okay, meaning what? Scanning neurons in the brain means what? What does this mean?
That's a great question, Patty. What does it mean? Well, the 100 neurons is the totality of the brain. So if you can map the totality of the brain digitally, what does that mean?
I have no fucking idea. Like,
No
what's the
fucking
benefits
idea.
of this? Why would I be excited about what you just told me?
Okay,
Tell me why.
because the hippocampus, for example, is your memory organ in your brain, right? So if they can map that, map that in an MRI, does that mean we can then take your memories out and put your memories on a computer?
I don't know, but I mean, again, why would I be excited about that? Tell me why.
I never said you had to be excited about
Tell
it.
me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. I want to stare.
Okay, so you kind of have the same frame of thinking that I do, actually. And that's why this week was so challenging for me, because I kind of put myself in boot camp and force myself to learn about something I'm really not that interested
That's already
in.
gone off.
All good. I just wanted to see how far I could. I wanted to take these. I realized research is a skill. It really is. And I wanted
it is, yeah.
I wanted to see how deep I could get in this, how much I could really effectively learn.
Yeah.
And share it. And I can see that you clearly don't give a fuck. And that's totally okay. Because
I mean, I'm engaged.
I usually don't give a fuck about space, technology, or the future. But one thing I can't deny is technology, man, is creeping up on us, dog.
Yeah.
It is creeping
Man,
up quick.
It's not that I got a fucking big interest in
I'm
future
not. It's not like I'm selling something to you. Oh, you got to buy this shit.
Yeah, of course. It's like when you talk about shit like that, like future technology that we could have as possessed. Like, of course, I'm fascinated by all that stuff. But when it comes to black holes and stars and stratospheres and galaxies and the quantum fit and all, I'm like, okay, I'm lost on all that. I'll sit and listen to it.
Space science.
But, yeah, I'm fucking. It's like, to me, that's
like that.
It's like mathematics.
I definitely would not want to talk math.
Don't, because you're talking to a wall. You know what I mean? But when you talk about potential future inventions that we might have or things like that, fuck yeah.
Well, that's what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
One thing he wants to create the digital version. So they're starting with mapping the brain of a fruit fly, and then eventually they get to mapping the brain of a human. Then once they can map the brain of a human, they can then put that digitized identity, that digitized brain on a laser beam, which they can then shoot to the moon in like 1 minute. Or maybe it was like less than 1 minute.
Yeah.
And in 4 minutes, they could shoot that to Mars. And in like 12 minutes, they could shoot you to the nearest star. And then you are there. And one thing they could do is start downloading your information, download an avatar, or even send an exoskeleton to put you in so that you could walk around and roam the planet.
This is rich people shit. This is fucking Elon Musk stuff. The regular Joes like us ain't gonna fucking have access to this. You crazy?
I'm not saying we will.
For $9.99, we'll shoot you to Mars, and then we'll download your information. We'll send an exoskeleton on the first fucking rocket we can find there, and it'll be waiting for you as soon as you arrive in your digital form, and then we'll download you all for $9.99.
But it's actually a scam. Actually, we're gonna shoot you on Mars.
Bring you there and execute you. But that's it. I mean, all that shit's rich people stuff.
The future of humans.
You know?
Now they all live on Mars, and then they bring the poor whites to Mars or to the moon, and they hunt them. And they kill them, and they eat them.
Ghosts of Mars. That was a great movie.
Did they do that?
I don't know, but I remember that was
You
a
could
great
see
movie.
that, right?
It's a great horror movie.
Yeah.
Here's something for you. Think about how far we've already come since we've been kids in technology.
Massive.
When I was growing up as a kid, we had fucking cassette tapes and a fucking pencil, and you had to use the pencil to unravel the fucking cassette tape. We had Walkmans. We had VHS. You know what I mean? You had a video store. You went to the video store to get a video on a Friday. Your mother said you could rent 2, and you're like, oh my God, how do I choose?
Yeah, I remember.
To go to a concert, you had to go to a fucking music store and buy a ticket for the concert. You know what I mean? A physical ticket. Go in there and talk to the guy and say, fucking Led Zeppelin are playing. Have you guys selling tickets or what? You know what I mean? Everything was more interactive between humans, I think, than it is now. And so the jump and the leap we've taken. We didn't have mobile phones. When I was a kid, we didn't have mobile phones. The principal in our school had a cell phone that was the size of a fucking cinder block, and he would pull a big, massive fucking aerial out the top of it and talk into it. You know what I mean? That was the only mobile phone I seen as a kid. And now think about where we are in that space of time. In about 30 years.
So
less
in that
than 30
aspect,
years.
the
Less
shit,
than 30 years.
Yeah, in that aspect, the shit I'm talking about's not that crazy.
Hey, who the fuck knows? Because if I said to you back then, what you're telling me now sounds crazy, of course.
Yeah, I mean, look at like the smartwatch. Like the smartwatch and the Bluetooth headphones are 2 examples of like the
smartphone, man. Come on.
Well, I mean, like the shit that can be done, like
it's insane.
You know what I mean? And that, like when I was in middle school, I had a Nokia phone with very few features.
Irish people, he means a Nokia.
Oh my God!
Say it again.
Nokia. And that was like 1998,
3210.
right? 1998. 30 years later, here we are with like Bluetooth headphones and shit, and I can like give my girlfriend one, I can use one, then we're both talking to my dad, who's on the other side of the world. You know, shit that
and
we
you can see him.
We saw that shit on Star Trek and Demolition Man as children and thought,
and
oh, that'll
Simpsons.
never happen or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's normal. You do it, but you don't even have to go pay for it. Imagine if like, oh, I want to call my dad, so I got to go to the shop, right, and pay for like an hour to call him. But like, it's so advanced that even like your normal Joes have it. Like everybody.
It's very
has
true.
It.
Okay, you made a good point there, Yank. That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good
point.
Like,
what's next? I read this book a while back. Awesome. It's called The Buddhaine Nights. Great book. And it's the 3-book series, but the first one's called When Gravity Fails. And they get these things put in their heads right here where they can put chips in, personality modules.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So it's like one dude put in like a James Bond module. Yeah. And then he got James Bond's personality characteristics. And he still looked the same way, but he stood different. He walked different. He talked different. He carried himself different. And so this one dude was like a detective, and when he needed to be more shrewd, he would put on like the detective module, or he'd put in like a hunger one so he would not get hungry.
So it could alter your personality.
Yeah, and it's like that. The kind of stuff I was studying this week was talking about exactly that. They want to create a chip to put into your hippocampus for memory to help people with Alzheimer's. So if they get lost and they don't know where they are and they forgot where they are, this chip will kind of make up for that and then help people with Alzheimer's.
Oh, interesting. I was thinking when you were saying that there about the guy putting the chip in the back of his neck and then he can change his personality to become James Bond, or the guy could change his personality to become a more shrewd detective. I thought, you know what? That's artificial sweeteners. That's all these
Sweeteners.
things. That's all the things that I don't want. So I will just become a schizophrenic, and I'm gonna be vegetarian, fucking schizophrenic. I'm just gonna be schizophrenic, and then naturally I'll have all these different personalities. I don't want to put that shit in my body. I don't even know what's inside it.
Oh, that's dead, right?
That's dead. Yeah.
Where were we just at?
The guy that
oh,
could
about
put
the
the chip.
hippocampus, though, and like, because Elon Musk with Neuralink, right? Like, the first use of Neuralink is to fix people who have spinal problems.
Yeah.
So actually, these scientists, they're looking into it. It's actually not. It's more for like shit like Alzheimer's, people who can't walk, that are paralyzed.
Yeah.
Somewhere in South America, they had this dude that couldn't walk. He's paralyzed, and they hooked this chip up and had him activate this exoskeleton that went and walked up and kicked the soccer ball to start the first soccer game of the season. Yeah. And so like they can already like hook people up to exoskeletons, and you can make the exoskeleton do what you want. And they got
army's all over that shit.
No shit. They have a brain imaging center in California where you can think a thought and this computer will print out a picture. And it's trying to print dreams, but it's doing a pretty shitty job. Like, it's working. It's just not working well.
That's a very interesting concept.
But the fact that it's working means, in maybe 10 years, it'll be really good.
You can watch your dreams back.
Yes.
Oh, man, that's fucking interesting as hell.
Yeah.
You can watch your dreams.
They're learning how to, like, you know, this is this part of the brain, this is this part of the brain, and how to, like, put chips in there and run it into a computer. And then they're talking about with mice, what they're doing is taking memories from some mice and then putting them into other mice. So they're experimenting with memory transformation. Transformation is probably not the right word, but you know what I mean? Taking the memory out of A and putting it into B. If you can do that, at that point, that's just the fucking Matrix.
That's mental.
Because then you can be like, oh, give me the algebra memory, right?
It's mad.
But then at that point, it's like there's no grit required in life anymore.
And then everybody becomes super intelligent,
Lazy
superhuman,
as
and
fuck, man.
that,
Right?
That all could be used as a weapon and as an asset. All of it.
Total weapon. Well, I mean, like both would be using it. Like the good people would be using it for good, and the bad people would be using it for bad.
Look at the CIA in America, fucking spending billions of dollars researching like psychics, and if they could get psychics to like fucking control other people and
Did they do that?
they spent billions of dollars on investigating psychics in America. The CIA.
No
They've
shit.
done some wild shit. The CIA. Like
I think Jim Morrison's dad was in the CIA.
Was he? Yeah.
Pretty
I
sure.
know he was a military guy.
Yeah.
The also I mean, what's that KM Ultra or whatever it is again?
I don't know.
MK Ultra. The MK Ultra. That was the CIA, wasn't it?
That's something to do with LSD, right?
They're like tests. They'd be doing some crazy tests.
Like they were actually the godfathers that became before Timothy Leary. I don't know. That's a whole nother podcast. But I can tell you right now, we're gonna be doing something on torturing methods from medieval times very soon.
Fuck yeah.
That's like a sneak peek.
Yeah,
Sneak
peek.
Sneak peek for our knowers.
Yeah, you want to tie it up there?
I think we can tie it up there.
All right, cool.
Pretty satisfied.
Please follow us on Instagram, Paddy and The Yank _podcast, YouTube. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
Patreon. We need to get a new interface, guys. We're trying to get these interviews popping. We got some pretty awesome interviews coming up, and there's only one thing we need, and that is a new audio interface. So if you guys can contribute $5,
if you're a fan of the podcast, yeah.
If you're not a fan of the podcast, that's cool too.
Yeah,
I really don't care if you like it or not.
And if you've listened this far and you're not a fan of the podcast, there's something wrong with you.
Especially if you're not leaving derogatory
comments.
comments.
Sharpen your knife and just go, yeah, I'm going to listen right to the end. I want to make sure I got plenty of fucking shit on these guys. Anyways, yeah, Support the podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. Today we're going to leave you with another tune by that Irish female artist, Michele Antonia.
Oh, sweet.
I think the song is called
Thank you,
Wolves
Michelle. I'm
or
digging
the
your
Wolves.
tunes. I'm digging your tunes.
All right, cheers. Peace.
Awesome. Peace out, everybody.
She feels growing stronger with time. Chasing on out of sight, out of mind. Darkness gives way to the break of first night. She moves alone and he's not far behind. His presence she feels growing stronger with time. Chasing shadows lost in spaces where her heart can go. In the darkness she's lost what goes around her own. Restless days lead to danger at night. When full moon is the sky, watch the fire fill their eyes. He's searching in places for weakened bones. She's tearing down spaces to